Dan Willis here, and we're talking about the 4 steps for charge-off collection debt. This is the second video in a series here. In case you missed our first one where we discussed what is a charge-off and how long it'll remain on your credit report, we'll include a link in the description below. Now, chances are you're being inundated with phone calls and letters demanding payment from the debt collector. For many folks, the debt collector has purchased the rights to the charge-off debt from your original lender or original creditor. The debt collector will now be reporting a collection on your credit report, along with inflating the total balance on your account. Legally, they can charge your account with interest fees and, believe it or not, even collection fees. Exactly like with the charge-off account, simply paying a collection debt will not improve your credit score. Instead, all it will do is change the status of the collection on your credit reports. It'll go from an unpaid collection to a paid collection. And this is still a negative credit report item that'll damage and drag your credit score down. Equifax says, and we quote, "Collection accounts will remain on your Equifax credit report for up to 7 years, even if paid." End quote. FICO, the company responsible for calculating the vast majority of consumer credit scores, Fair Isaac Corporation, says, and again we quote, "The fact that you have collections listed on your credit report will almost certainly lower your FICO score," end quote. And they go on to say, as far as your FICO score is concerned, 2 things are considered. Has a collection appeared on your credit report and when it was reported? So whether or not you pay your collections off is really a personal decision. The Experian Credit Bureau says, and again we quote, "Consumers with collections on their credit reports are likely to have lower credit scores than consumers who have no collections. In addition to the potential impact to your credit scores, the presence of collections also can influence lender decisions," end quote. And in case you'd like to see the full sourcing of these quotes, we're going to include a link in the description below over to an article at our website. We have a free report available for you there, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. Now, for some individuals, after performing the necessary due diligence and exercising your consumer rights granted by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, FDCPA, they may discover paying a collection debt is the fastest and easiest route to a clear credit report. Our first step to dealing with this collection account, though, is to request debt validation. This is your right as a consumer granted by the Fair Debt Collection Practices Act. And in short, when we request debt validation, we're asking the debt collector to prove that this is truly our debt and everything's legit. Or if you prefer, we're asking for our original receipt. After all, we didn't do any business directly with the debt collector. They just showed up one day demanding payment. It's most effective to make your debt validation request in writing and send it using certified mail. You see, the debt collector is required to respond by providing you with the evidence, paperwork, and documents that do and does prove this is your account. This paperwork should clearly show you who the original lender or creditor was, the dates of account activity, the total balance, and all the relevant details about the debt. If they fail to validate your account for any reason, even not having their paperwork in order, then you're no longer responsible for payment. Moreover, they're supposed to contact all 3 credit bureaus to have them remove this collection mark from your credit report. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit report consultation by calling toll-free 1-844-517-7627. If they do validate your account, our second step is to review these documents in detail. We're looking for your last date of account activity. Contrary to popular belief, you're not legally responsible forever for the vast majority of types of consumer debt. Generally, you're only legally responsible for repayment of most types of consumer debt for about 7 years, and this is according to state law called the Statute of Limitations. And this law does vary by state, so for exact specifics, check out your local legislation. Once this legal time window runs out and expires, the debt is legally forgiven. This state law applies to the overwhelming majority of types of consumer debt, including credit cards, personal loans, car loans, medical bills, utilities, retail, telecommunications, and many more. One of the only exceptions is federal student loans in default. If your collection debt has been validated and it's within the statute of limitations legal time window, our third step is to negotiate a settlement agreement directly with the debt collector. There's 2 parts to your settlement agreement, and it's wise to get this in writing. First, we need to negotiate to settle for less than the total account balance. Recall, your collection debt has likely been inflated with interest fees and collection fees. Frequently, you'll be able to negotiate and settle for just a fraction of the total balance, and you can anticipate somewhere in the ballpark of around 20% up to about 40% of the total balance. For instance, with a $1,000 debt, you may be able to negotiate to pay just 30% or $300. This is standard operating practice in the debt collection industry, and every debt collector should be delighted to accept a settlement for less payment. But wait, we've got to get this second part of your settlement agreement in place. We must get the debt collector to agree they'll stop reporting your account information to all 3 credit bureaus in exchange for your payment. Otherwise, you'll get stuck with a paid collection on your credit reports, and that's not going to build your credit score. We need to take a moment to dispel a common internet myth called a pay-for-delete approach to dealing with debt collectors. If you're not familiar, this is where we demand the debt collector first delete the collection from your credit report, and we promise, once that's done, then we'll submit payment. As amazing as this approach sounds, it's more likely we'll see PETA opening up local butcher shops nationwide. You're welcome to try this approach, but for many obvious reasons, we wouldn't suggest holding your breath. In our decade-plus years of working with folks, we've yet to hear of anyone ever successfully making this agreement, despite its popularity on the internet. On a sidebar, one way to protect yourself is to submit your settlement payment using a personal check. And on the memo line of your check, make a note about the settlement agreement and the debt collector's agreement to stop reporting your account to all 3 credit bureaus. In our final step, we're going to be talking about in detail getting this collection off of your credit report. And to do this, we'll need to utilize more of your consumer rights, this time those granted by the FCRA, Fair Credit Reporting Act, and we're going to be employing and deploying the credit report dispute process. And we'll be discussing that here in detail in the next video, so of course subscribe and join our congregation. In brief, we're going to challenge the accuracy of this collection account on your credit reports directly with all 3 credit bureaus. The Fair Credit Reporting Act mandates the credit bureaus investigate consumer disputes by contacting the data furnisher, in this case the debt collector, and requesting verification of the account. As per your settlement agreement with the debt collector, they're not going to verify the account during the credit bureau's investigation. As a result, the credit bureaus must remove the collection account from your credit report. This is also how we're going to remove that charge-off from your credit report. So make sure to subscribe because we're going to be talking about that here up next. And if you'd like some help, you can get a free credit report consultation by calling toll-free 1-844 844-517-7627. Again, that's for a free credit report consultation, and the toll-free phone number is 1-844-517-7627. This is Dan Willis. We're going to include a link in the description below over to an article at our website for the full story. We also have a free report available there for you, the 7 proven ways to boost your credit score. And of course, subscribe and join our congregation because we're talking about the nitty-gritty of removing that charge-off and the credit dispute process here coming up. So make sure to subscribe. Have a wonderful day and looking forward to talking to you again here soon.